Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at the Marvel Universe Spider-Man 2099. Picked this one up yesterday at Toys R Us. I was so excited to see him on the shelf that, for 1 second I almost forgot that, they still didn't have the Marvel Legends 2-packs in. Almost. Although that's aggravating, expect after the holiday season they'll probably have like dozens of them out on the shelf, so I'm not too worried. But speaking of the holiday season, waited, I think it was 8 to 15 minutes in line to, just to buy this guy. But you know what? Totally worth it. Because the alternative would have been waiting a few days for it to arrive if I bought him online. Now, they had 2 of them in store. One had some paint defects in one place. The other one had some paint defects in the other place. Couldn't pick between them because, decisions are hard, so I ended up just buying both of them. Probably leave this one pack and open them later because I do want to display both of them. Plus, I just like having a spare in case anything happens to the original. Especially because this is probably the best Spider-Man 2099 figure to be released so far. He has seen 2 previous articulate releases, once in the Spider-Man Classics line as a KB exclusive, and then another time in the Spider-Man Origins line. Of course, the Origins one just had hinged leg joints at the hip, but did use a glossier paint like this one. However, both opted for these really chintzy cloth capes, web capes, but this one actually has a plastic one sculpted on, which is really cool. And I believe both of them were lacking these spikes in the arms, which are part of the costume, which this one has, so major points here, although, again, this is just a repaint of the Marvel Universe standard body with a few new pieces tossed on here and there. But, yeah, and has a tendency for the leg to pop off, but I think there's a problem with just this one figure. What might be a problem with the figure that you end up picking up if you do choose to buy one of these is the fact that they have a tendency to paint scuff. Because I guess they probably toss on the blue glossy paint first, and they toss the red on top of that, and then the red's like kind of smudged in places on this one, and on the other one I saw as well, which actually is right here. So that's one of the big perks of just buying in person, because you get to see what the problems are. But the other thing they do have a still issue here with is the fact they don't bother painting in the joints, so you have this little pin here that's blue. And then this line here, which kind of disrupts the whole effect, but if you toss the arm up like this, it's kind of more what it looks like, and for some reason I believe the spikes should have been lower on the forearm, like on the bottom, but could be mistaken offhand. Now paint-wise, really cool glossy blue with some various hues and stuff. They highlight with some blacks, and then eventually just gets really shadowed in here, so definitely a very solid paint job, especially with the Death's Head mask on the chest here. Now, unlike other Spider-Man who had their costume design specifically to represent this, Miguel O'Hara just pulled out an old Halloween costume. Well, not a really Halloween costume, but a costume from a Day of the Dead festival down in Mexico, and, used that. It's actually made of unstable, I think it's something material, fabric or whatever, so his little talons and stuff would go right through the costume, and the costume wouldn't rip. You will notice that there are no talons in this hand here, which kind of sucks. I also probably would have preferred both open hands, but whatever. Now, the one really downside to using the standard Marvel Universe body is the fact that it ends up losing out in additional articulation. I mean, Spider-Man really does need all sorts of additional stuff just because he's got, additional movement that this character does that a lot of other characters just won't ever do. So, especially could use a additional waist joint here, because the cape kind of has a tendency to get stuck a little bit when you're moving it around. But in terms of articulation, we have a rotating wrist here, single joint elbow, rotating bicep, ball jointed shoulder. Now the head goes up a bit, but I just don't feel it goes up quite enough. I mean, if they tossed in like another joint here at the neck, you could have the more proper look, especially like when he's swinging and stuff. And you know, because characters like this really need to have a whole up angle. Torso joint with the usual rotation forward back. Again, wish they'd also toss in the waist, but characters like this really do need a torso joint just for the additional movement. Now the leg is on a physical ball and can pop out. Probably won't with yours though. It kind of varies. I mean, some of the Marvel universes have that problem, some of them don't. Double jointed knee, ball jointed ankle, but the way that it's carved kind of impedes how it moves, which again kind of sucks, but whatever. I mean, the bigger issue is just the thinness of the joints, which kind of means like when you're posing him on his stand and stuff, it will kind of slant over and fall, which I honestly don't understand either, because Hasbro also does G.I. Joes, and I have a Cobra Trooper here who I put into this pose several days ago, and he basically hasn't moved an inch up until I nudged him right now. So you'd think they'd take the same sensibilities from this line, toss into here, and you'd have more stable joints or whatever, but I don't know. Now this figure did come with some accessories. For Series 3 they stopped doing the cards and little dossiers and the letters and stuff, but thankfully they kept the stands, which you really need. You'll notice that his says Spider-Man on it instead of Spider-Man 2099. I don't know why, maybe because in the year 2099 he is Spider-Man, just like Batman Beyond isn't Batman Beyond. In the world of Beyond he's just Batman, but in addition he also comes with this web accessory, which like all the previous Spider-Man figures have had. Clips onto the arm, but frankly it just looks kind of silly, and I'm not sure why you'd have all this webbing over here unless it's supposed to double as like a net thing for another figure if you tossed it in and he's webbed up, but it just strikes me as being kind of silly. On the whole, you know, this is definitely the best version of Spider-Man. Well, probably is the best version of Spider-Man 2099 available right now. Now, I wish they'd do more of the 2099 characters like Jake Gallows, the future Punisher, and the Hulk, especially if they did a build-a-figure of that one, but I think this is probably just got this because of Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, which helped revitalize some interest in the character. But they didn't do Spider-Man Noir, so, you know, props to this version. Apparently it's probably a more popular one. But yeah, this has been a look at the Marvel Universe Spider-Man, which I like, and, you know, I'm a huge fan of the character, so I do have a natural bias here, so until next time, folks.